Selma in the middle 60s in 65. And in 65 I asked him, I said, Lerone, of all the books you've written, which one's the best one? I knew what he was going to say, and hardly anybody's read it. He said, Negro Mood. It's only 120 pages. So when I saw him at the Million Man March, I said, Lerone, why haven't you republished that book? Because of all his books, that's the one that hasn't been republished. And I know why, because his chapter on the black establishment, particularly, is one critical of the people who pay him, including Johnson Publication, right? And he said, I'm going to do it. And I then gave him my book, and I showed him. In each of my books, I refer to that book because it's such a seminal work. Lerone Bennett defined the black establishment as a group established by Booker T. Washington and W.B. Du Bois. Some people call him Du Bois. And it is an establishment made up of blacks and whites. It is not all black. There's a saying, they say the black establishment, in the black establishment, the blacks do the wooing and the whites do the cooing. You know what I mean? Woo, oh master. The cooing, ah, yeah, you know. You're a good slave, a good Negro. The black establishment is made up of civil rights, the major national civil rights organizations. They are the key organizations in the black establishment. The NAACP, the Urban League, are at the center of the national black establishment. They're made up of national black church leaders, but they are the national black church leaders who are not the most militant. Adam Clayton Powell came from then the largest black church in the United States. His father was a member of the black establishment, but Adam Clayton Powell was not because he was too militant. It's made up of fraternities and sororities, national sororities and fraternities, and it's made up of national black college heads, which until the 60s were largely white. And by the way, the head of the NAACP until just 15, 20 years ago was white. Jewish. Yeah. And it's made up of a host of other groups. Now here's the key point about the black establishment. The black establishment's job is to, on the one hand, sound militant, but in action, be conservative.
True.
Their job is to see that nothing serious takes place with the grassroots.
Yep.
Okay? In the case of the Garvey movement, Garvey was wrong when he said that Du Bois was a part of the conspiracy to get rid of him. I'm just about through with the 4th volume of Hill's work on Marcus Garvey, the Universal Negro Improvement Association. There's no evidence that Du Bois was a part of any FBI plot to get rid of him. Du Bois was critical of Garvey, in some cases rightfully, for not having a good management system around the Black Star Line, having made some real serious mistakes around that. And he was wrong in other things, and in some cases his observations had to do with brainwashing, referring to Garvey as black and ugly, which was a part of his brainwashing. But the point is this. The Negro establishment was very threatened by the Garvey movement. If you remember in the 60s, the NAACP, a man named Gloucester Current, who was director of branches for the NAACP, instructed all his local chapters that they were to have nothing to do with Angela Davis because she's a communist. The black establishment, when they came down on Paul Robeson, when the State Department denied him the right to travel, took his passport because of his left-wing views, because he was a strong black man who never compromised on his principles, the black establishment gave him no support. You understand? The black establishment has not launched one movement in the United States. The only thing to its credit was the legal role that the NAACP played in support of the civil rights movement. But other than that, they have launched no movement. In fact, when the Million Man March was called, it was many members of the black establishment who are financed by whites who came out and attacked it. Though there were a few blacks who attacked it, who were not of the black establishment and had their own reasons for attacking it. Some positive, some negative. So the point is, this is the black establishment. It's a group that woos white people. It's a group that pretends to be concerned about the needs of the grassroots blacks, but it operates on somebody else's agenda. Do I see it in the UK? I'm in and out of the UK. I get to see some things. I know that you have a few blacks in Parliament, and I don't think that you have the kind of organized group that exists in the States.
That's true.
But you are the ones that would know that better than me. You'd have to tell me what you see as an elite group, and if there is one.
And we are only organized in terms of the church, which is a sleeping giant.
Which is
The black
true in the
church.
States too.
They are organizations, but very, sort of insular.
There's no black organization fighting for the black cause, but they're working. And you have to see who's paying them. You know, a lot of them getting paid by the white establishment to look after our people.
This gentleman with the cap on, yes.
Well, I'd like Mr. Shaka to explain some more for us about the Christianity and its translation from its original into the English language, which is used as a door.
Right.
How we know people in this kind of state. Julie's father had that privilege,
Right.
and she must have had something from the father which she could explain to us to enlighten her in that situation with the translation.
Key thing in Christianity to understand is what was done to Christianity through the Council of Nicaea and also the Council of Constantinople. And in fact, many of the church councils. Jesus, the question the brother asked, is there a historical basis for Jesus? It's a debatable question in that he did not leave a direct record himself. It came through those who followed him. Whereas the Prophet Muhammad, he was illiterate, but based on visions he had, you have the Holy Quran. It comes directly through him. Buddha, we know that Buddha went through transformations, and out of that comes Buddhism. I think, though, that there was a Jesus Christ. There's just too many things to indicate it in terms of a global transformation around a particular religion. But what's important is what happens at the Council of Constantinople, or at the Council of Nicaea. The Council of Nicaea, there were two camps. There was a camp of a man named Arius. Arius was an Egyptian. And then there was the camp of those opposed to him. You know very little about the Arian position except by what his opponents say about him, because they destroyed almost everything that gave any historical basis to him as a way to eliminate his position. But it appears that early Christianity followed his position until the Council of Nicaea. Council of Nicaea, Arius, who was a very good man, he could have been bishop of the religion in Egypt, but turned it down, which indicated that he was not a man seeking power. What he argued was this. He said that God chose Jesus as his son because while Jesus was mutable, meaning Jesus could change, Jesus always chose right over wrong. This is very important. The fact that he could change meant he wasn't God. God is all good. It meant he was man. But he meant he was such a good man that he chose to be good. He never did wrong. And he said, had Paul been like Jesus, and Paul never done wrong, God would have made him the Son of God. And if someone else, meaning there could be many sons. You understand? And daughters. At that point there was no conception of a daughter who could do no wrong. I think you could make the case that probably more than sons. But the point is that, so this is the argument presented at the Council of Nicaea. Then there were other arguments. Arius said, how could the Son be the Father? Because they're saying the Son is God. The Son was born after the Father. The Son is different from the Father. Well, the response to that was because the Emperor Constantine was illiterate. he was also barbaric. He had killed his oldest son because his son was too noble. He was a brave warrior and his people loved him. He was jealous. He killed him. He boiled his own wife in boiling water in a tub. He killed his wife's daughter. In fact, he didn't embrace Christianity until he was ready to die because he wanted to be forgiven for all his sins. He is the one who established official doctrine on Jesus. So that finally, the question becomes, is God a man? Is Jesus a man, or is Jesus the Son of God? So the Emperor Constantine takes the position that Jesus is the Son of God. By the way, he continues after the Council of Nicaea to follow the Arian doctrine. So this is another thing. He rules in behalf of a doctrine that says that Jesus is God, but continues to act like he isn't. Okay? This is a contradiction. So the point is this. What the Council of Nicaea does is it separates God from man, because no other religion claims that the central figure other than God, that Buddha is God, that Muhammad is God. No other. It's inconceivable. How can God incarnate all of his being into a human being? God is all. God is everything. How can God be man? God can be in man. God can be in woman, but how can God be man? Because that's the whole cosmos. It's inconceivable. But because in religion, and I know I'm hitting some real sensitive ground here, but you asked the question.
Go on, man. Go on.
In religion, see, we have been taught in Christianity not to question things. So this doesn't make sense. We're just told it's a mystery. It sure is. It sure is. Here's the point. What Arius was saying was this. He was saying the basis for you gaining salvation is not someone dying on the cross. It is based on you saving yourself.
Yes.
He's saying that if you do right over wrong, or you choose to do right rather than wrong, that's the basis for salvation.
Yes.
And so what happens with the Council of Nicaea is the Catholic Church is put in the position where it can be the source of salvation. You go to a priest and you confess to a sinning priest. You hear me? And he tells you to say so many Hail Marys. I used to be a Catholic. I was a Baptist, a Catholic, and a Baptist. Was. All past tense. And I used to go to confession. And they had a rule in confession that if you didn't remember the sin, you were forgiven. And I had amnesia. I would go before that priest and forgot everything serious. I told him everything that was minor. Because intuitively I knew I'm not supposed to be confessing to some white man, you understand? To some man that no better than me. I'm going to be going to him, telling him what I've done wrong, and he's going to tell me how to save myself. So all other spiritual systems teach, and I think most black people know this, whatever your religion happens to be, that it is your power to choose.
Yes.
You have the power that God gave you to choose right or wrong. And if you choose wrong, I can go tomorrow and get hung on a cross. It's not going to save you. You're going to have to answer for that. Now here's the second point. Council of Constantinople ruled out the notion of cycles. Almost all spiritual systems teach that the way you become a better person is through periods of transformations, ups and downs. And what they teach is this occurs in many lives, reincarnation. The Council of Constantinople taught that there were no cycles. There was only heaven or hell. You either went to heaven or you went to hell. And the Catholic Church created purgatory. You understand? Before that, Christians believed that if you didn't get it right in one life, you came back in another life. And you tried to get it better. And you came back in another life. And you tried to get it better. Until finally you became, as George James called it, the sunum bonum, you became one with God. Yep. God-like.